Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, seeking to kill as many Palestinians as possible, using extraordinary numbers of unguided bombs to cause mass deaths across the population, killing adults and children and doing irreparable physical and mental harm to those who survive. Gaza itself is being deliberately destroyed, leaving those trying to live in its ruins to face constant displacement, a lack of aid and a struggle to survive. Even embryos in Palestinian clinics are destroyed to prevent their birth. All these actions are done with genocidal intent from the very highest echelons of power. These are the damning accusations of a UN Commission of Inquiry's report into Israel's actions in Gaza.
The goal of the Israeli government is abundantly clear as we continue to witness the destruction of Palestinians in Gaza. The Commission finds it is genocide.
The United Nations Genocide Convention was adopted after the murder of 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. To be classed as genocide, 1 of 5 acts must have occurred. Israel has been found guilty of 4. Killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm, inflicting conditions to destroy the group, imposing measures intended to prevent births. The 5th, the forced removal of children, was not found. Israel denies any genocidal act or intent. Israel is ruled to have attacked Palestinians in homes, hospitals, shelters and safe zones, as well as civilians, journalists, healthcare professionals and humanitarian workers who were deliberately targeted and killed. The words of the Prime Minister have been used to prove intent.
את כל המקומות שהחמאס נערך בהם, של עיר הרשע הזאת, כל המקומות שהחמאס מסתתר בהם, פועל מתוכם, נהפוך אותם לאיי חורבות.
Should other nations take note at risk of being complicit in this for what they choose not to do?
Remaining silent and not acting at all or supporting Israel is not neutrality, it is complicity in the crime of genocide.
Do you think we will see any convictions for genocide as a result of what's gone on in Gaza?
Justice is a slow process, but it will happen. You know, there's a wonderful British case that justice will always catch up on you.
That slow process may mean many in Gaza will never get to see convictions, should they come.
It was no doubt a coincidence of timing, but the conclusion of genocide from the UN-appointed inspectors was delivered as Israel confirmed its ground offensive against Gaza City had begun. Israel's aerial pounding of the country's last remaining objective has given way to tanks rolling towards the city. 70 people were reported killed today. And the new onslaught has created a huge, near-biblical exodus out of the city itself. Even at gone midnight, there are still queues of cars and vans and donkeys and carts heading south, piled high with mattresses and the other essentials of life.
First come the warning signs. Leaflets dropped by the Israelis. They provide a brief distraction for the young ones. But this isn't child's play. The IDF has been telling people in Gaza City precisely where is getting it next. We evacuated that area and now we don't know where to go, said this mother. We're willing to head south, but there are no tents or shelter. What can I do? My husband is 56 years old and injured. He can barely move. We have 4 girls and a boy. What should I do? The Israelis estimate that 40% of residents have heeded their general order to flee southwards. But many of the hundreds of thousands of people still in Gaza City can't afford the cost of transport or the rent they'll have to pay for a meagre patch of living space elsewhere. That's why tonight Some of them have congregated on the doorstep of the Al-Quds hospital in Gaza City. They have brought all the possessions they can in the hope that proximity affords them and their things some protection from the Israeli offensive. After round-the-clock airstrikes, the IDF ground operation into Gaza City is now underway. While the Israeli Prime Minister is trying to attach great importance to it, the assault is nothing new. I was among the journalists the IDF brought into the centre of Gaza City when they occupied it back in November 2023. Then the battle damage was already considerable. The big difference is the death toll. According to the Hamas-run health ministry, it has risen from over 10,000 back then to almost 65,000 today. Over the course of just the last 24 hours, dozens have been killed, many of them children. Under 18s make up almost half Gaza's population, meaning that tonight in Gaza City alone, 250,000 children are stuck in the firing line. John Irvine, News at 10, Tel Aviv.
And Emma and Robert are here to talk about all this. Emma, maybe we can come to you first. I mean, given the history of the Holocaust, just using the word genocide in connection with Israel feels like a very, very big moment, at least symbolically. But how much difference does it actually make?
I think the reality is that there will be very little difference as a result of this report, and that's something that when I spoke with the commissioners who drew it up today, they were very well aware of, but I think that they clearly felt there was a huge importance to the work that they had done, because what it does is build a very significant body of evidence brought together by an independent group who have worked across months and months, bringing in thousands of pieces of evidence, so that there is a dossier there that can be presented to the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice, where, of course, any cases against any state or individuals will be prosecuted should that moment come. So although it won't make a massive difference at this moment, it could potentially in the future. What it does do, though, and it's something that, having spoken to some diplomats and lawyers during the course of the day, what it does do is really cause an issue for governments, because as you heard there, silence is potentially complicity, and that is something that there will be an assessment being done in capitals all over the world at the moment to try and work out just what they need to do to stay on the right side of the law, because that is something that is being studied very carefully, and this situation is not going away, it's not getting any easier, and whilst governments might seek to condemn, they will also have to consider whether they have to do more than that to stay in the correct place when it comes to their position in law and also in history.
Robert, if that's true, where does that leave Donald Trump and indeed Keir Starmer?
Well, Emma's just said governments all over the world, analysing what they need to do to stay on the right side of the law, not face prosecution for aiding and abetting what may turn out to be formally genocide. But that's not happening in the most important capital, which is Washington, where Donald Trump doesn't recognise the UN's assessment, is not criticising the military action that Israel is taking today, the invasion of Gaza City by the Israeli Defense Force. And this poses a major headache for Keir Starmer at the start of this important state visit, because Britain's position is now very significantly different from Washington's. The Foreign Secretary said today of the IDF's action in Gaza City that it was reckless and appalling. You will not hear those words from any member of Trump's administration. The Prime Minister is committed to recognising the state of Israel, but just one example of the acute sensitivity of this, because he knows Donald Trump thinks that is a terrible mistake. He's very critical of Britain for going down that path, because he sees it, as Israel does, as in some way rewarding Hamas, whereas the British Prime Minister simply takes the view that the pressure has to be kept on Israel, and he thinks this does keep the pressure on Israel. So the point which was striking to me is we'd been led to understand the recognition was going to take place by the UK next week at the United Nations. Government tonight will not commit to that. They simply don't want it as a point of really sharp difference with Trump.